The first time Mace Trenton met the alien assassin, he was elbow-deep in a broken water heater in his apartment complex's maintenance room, wearing grease-stained jeans and a faded T-shirt that said Cleveland Browns Training Camp 2004. A wrench clanged to the floor as the temperature dropped 10 degrees in a blink, the air vibrating faintly. Mace looked up, blinking under the flickering fluorescent light. A tall, slate-gray figure with armor like layered stone stood in the far corner, holding what looked like a crystalline blade that pulsed with a dull blue light. It didn't move. It didn't need to. The atmosphere was suddenly charged, like right before a lightning strike. "Look," Mace said, standing slowly and wiping his hands on his shirt. "If you're with the leasing office, tell Carla I already fixed Unit 12's hot water yesterday." The figure tilted its head, studying him. Its voice was flat, reverberating subtly. "You are Mace Trenton of Earth." "Yeah, and you are, I am Kyrv, assigned eliminator of the Varn Dominion. You are designated as Tier 7 potential threat. I am here for termination." Mace blinked. "Tier what? 7. The lowest classification of planetary defense concern. Your species rated you weak." Mace leaned against the wall, eyeing the blade. "So wait, Earth gave you my name, told you I was weak." Kyrv nodded once. "Typical," Mace muttered. "Figures they'd undercut me even in a death warrant." Kyrv stepped forward. "You have 10 seconds to prepare." Mace raised both hands. Whoa, I'm not some soldier. I fix plumbing. I've got a bad knee from high school football and a herniated disc from lifting a couch wrong in 2012. "I'm not a threat to anyone." Kyrv paused. "Your species ranked you incorrectly." "Yeah, well, that's government paperwork for you." But as Kyrv lunged forward, something odd happened. Mace didn't think he moved. He grabbed the wrench from the floor, slammed the breaker box open behind him, and as sparks flew and the lights died, he ducked left, using the flicker of darkness to dash behind the water heater. Kyrv's blade slashed air inches from where Mace's neck had been. Mace didn't stop moving. He threw the wrench at the assassin, not to hurt, but to distract. It worked. Kyrv dodged reflexively. Mace kicked a pipe valve loose, sending a torrent of boiling water into the air. Steam filled the room in seconds. He escaped through the side exit, limping heavily, clutching his side. He'd twisted something. Outside, the streetlights buzzed. Sirens wailed faintly in the distance. He didn't go home. Instead, he found a payphone, yes, an actual payphone still standing outside the bus station, and called the only person who might believe him. "Lana, it's Mace. You still got that emergency bug-out bag you talked about during your prepper phase?" There was a pause on the line. "Mace, it's 2 in the morning. I'm being hunted by something not from this planet. I need help." Another pause. "Then I'll meet you in 20. Bring coffee." Lana Norin used to work for the Defense Analysis Bureau until she got tired of secrets and switched to private security consulting. She still carried herself like someone who could disassemble a rifle blindfolded. When she met Mace behind the bus station, she handed him a coffee and a small black case. "You weren't kidding," she said, noticing the gash in his shirt and the scorched patches on his arm. "What the hell happened?" "Alien assassin. Name's Kyrv." "Slab of armor with a laser knife." She raised a brow. "And you lived?" "Barely. He said Earth labeled me Tier 7, weakest threat level." Lana frowned. "Tier 7's usually reserved for janitors and retirees." "Exactly, and yet here I am." She eyed him carefully. "You sure you're not some secret sleeper agent?" "I'm a maintenance guy. I fix toilets. I unclog drains. This morning I spent 2 hours replacing a belt in a dryer." Lana looked over her shoulder. "Then why send someone like Kyrv after you?" "That's what I want to find out." The next week was a blur of motels, bus rides, and back alley contacts. Lana tapped into old networks, pulling what little info she could on extraterrestrial threat classifications. Apparently, the Varn Dominion had an agreement with Earth's higher councils. Certain humans flagged as potential disruptors could be dealt with off-record. The process was automated, cold, bureaucratic. Mace had been flagged due to an old file, something from when he was 21, and hacked a city grid to reroute backup power to a hospital during a blackout. A life-saving move, but it had pinged interstellar attention. That, combined with a few other incidents, subduing an armed man during a train robbery, organizing a food drop during a flood, painted a picture. one the Dominion didn't like. "You're a problem solver," Lana said as she patched his bruised ribs in a motel bathroom. "You adapt, you survive." "They don't like variables." "I'm not a hero, Lana, I just refuse to die stupid," she chuckled. "That's exactly why they're scared." Kyev found them again in a warehouse outside of Des Moines. This time Mace was ready. He didn't try to fight head-on, he set traps. Rigged the floor with oil slicks, jammed infrared sensors, and used metal drums to redirect sound. Kyev stalked through like a machine, relentless, but Mace always stayed one step ahead, until Lana got a shot on his leg with an old energy disruptor she'd smuggled from her military days. Kyev went down, sparks sputtering from his armor. Mace stood over him, chest heaving. "I'm not a threat because I'm strong," Mace said. "I'm a threat because I don't stop." Kyev's voice crackled. "You are, not as you were assessed." "No one is," Mace said. "You just have to look closer." They didn't kill Kyev. Instead, Lana used her contacts to arrange a diplomatic lockout. Kyev was detained in a secure facility under the pretense of an error in classification. The Dominion quietly backed off, unwilling to admit a mistake. Mace returned to his job, fixed a leaky sink, replaced a ceiling tile, but every so often he'd glance at the stars and wonder who else out there had a file with his name on it, and whether they remembered what happened to the last one who tried. The room smelled like old caramel and antiseptic. Not an ideal combination, but Mace had learned to lower his standards after waking up in a facility that didn't exist on any map. He lay on a narrow cot, bare from the waist up, electrodes taped to his chest, wires trailing to a machine that made occasional beeping sounds like it was bored. A translucent skinned creature with a head shaped like an inverted teardrop hovered beside him, adjusting a panel. It wore no clothes, just a belt filled with small vials and tools that clinked when it moved. Its eyes, if you could call the four glistening patches on its face eyes, blinked independently. "So, are you a doctor or just cosplaying one?" Mace asked without lifting his head. "I am trained in over 6,000 biological frameworks," the creature said, its mouth never moving. "Your species ranks fourth on the metabolic volatility spectrum, a delight. That's never meant anything good." The door hissed open. Lana entered, holding a tightly rolled stack of paper. She tossed it onto Mace's lap. "Congratulations," she said. "You're now officially a diplomatic complication." Mace winced as he sat up. "I've always wanted to be a complication." "You're not listening." The Dominion filed a grievance. They're calling what happened in Des Moines a violation of the Varn Protocol. They're implying you used unauthorized tech. I used a wrench and a busted water line. Well, they're spinning it differently, and now their observers are here, which means we're being watched. Mace rubbed his temple. "I didn't even know the Varn had protocols." "They don't. They make them up as they go." The alien doctor chirped and nodded. "His vitals are recovering. Adrenal thresholds are inconsistent with baseline. Emotional surges are uncharacteristically stable. I recommend stress testing." "Stress test someone else," Mace muttered, pulling the electrodes off one by one. Lana folded her arms. "They're not backing off this time. Kyev was a sanctioned eliminator. They want to know how you disabled him, and they've brought evaluators." Mace blinked. "Evaluators? Think of them as auditors with less patience and more appendages," he groaned. "Great, I'll just bake them cookies and hope they choke." The doctor chirped again. "That may actually be effective." Several Varn subtypes react negatively to gluten. 2 hours later, Mace found himself in a domed chamber lit from above by soft, pulsing strips that shifted color every minute. 3 beings stood opposite him. One resembled a walking fern with silver spores drifting from its leaves. Another looked like a cube with a single stalk protruding from its top, ending in a large, rotating eye. The third was unsettling humanoid, but entirely matte black, with no discernible features, only a faint shimmer around its outline like heat warping the air. "State your designation," the cube said. Its voice buzzed not through the air but directly inside Mace's skull. "Mace Trenton, maintenance technician, former high school linebacker. Once fell off a roof trying to rescue a cat. That is not relevant. Well, it broke 2 ribs and the cat scratched me, so I feel like it's shaped me as a person." The fern rustled. You are not recorded as trained combatant, yet you neutralized Kyrv. Explain. I used steam and gravity. And a tool I found on the floor. The cube rotated slightly. That is insufficient. You weren't there. The black figure stepped forward. Your species is chaotic, difficult to quantify. We seek clarity. Mace looked between them. You're not gonna get it. You want math and logic, but humans don't operate like that. We duct tape things. We improvise. You give us lemons, we open a lemonade franchise and franchise it into 6 cities before anyone asks where the lemons came from. Your methods defy prediction, the cube said. Exactly. That's the point. The fern made a spitting sound. This is why your kind is dangerous. You succeed through failure. Mace frowned. Wait, you're mad because we don't die properly? Silence. Lana entered without knocking. She carried a small orb and placed it on the table. It flickered, showing footage grainy surveillance from Des Moines, played in reverse. Kyrv stalking through the warehouse, Mace slipping behind barrels, steam erupting, the assassin falling. They asked for proof, she said. There it is, no weapons, no enhancements. Just instincts and plumbing knowledge. The cube rotated again. This will be reviewed. The black figure tilted its head. He will be watched. You already are, Lana said. You send one more operative to Earth without consent, and you'll have more than a maintenance man to answer to. The fern hissed. This is not over. It never is, Mace said. But I'll still be fixing garbage disposals while you're writing reports about me. Later, back in the sterile room, Mace sat on the floor, stretching his leg. His knee popped audibly. You should not have full mobility, the doctor said from behind him. I don't, Mace replied. That's why it popped. You healed faster than projected. Painkillers and stubbornness. The doctor tilted its head. Your biology continues to violate expectations. Tell me about it. Last week I ate an entire chili dog I found in my car. I'm 90% sure it was from the previous month. Survival through recklessness, the doctor mused, more like poor judgment with lucky timing. There was a long pause. Then the doctor asked, would you permit a scan of your decision-making centers? No offense, Mace said, but I'd rather not have my brain poked by someone who thinks a chili dog is a learning opportunity. That night, he didn't sleep much. Every sound in the hallway kept him alert. At one point, he stood by the window, watching lights move in the sky, silent, distant, and indifferent. By morning, Lana knocked once and entered. She carried a small pouch. They're gone for now, she said, but you're flagged. Mace took the pouch and opened it. Inside was a metal key with no teeth, just a smooth surface and a faint humming. What's this? Something off-grid. A place you can go if things heat up. It's shielded, no tracking. He looked at her. You think I'll need it. You've got a target on you now. Not because of what you did, but because of what you might do. He turned the key over in his hand. I fix things, Lana. I don't start wars. Sometimes fixing things breaks the wrong systems. They stood in silence for a while. Then Mace said, you think Kyrv will come back? She hesitated. Not him, but something else might. He slid the key into his jeans. Then I guess I better keep my wrench handy. As she left, the alien doctor passed her in the hallway, pausing long enough to say, he is fascinating. Lana didn't stop walking. He's a headache. Keep him alive. The doctor entered and found Mace rigging a pair of metal rods into a makeshift dip bar between the sink and the bed frame. You are exercising? Trying to, Mace said. Can't exactly run laps in here. The doctor observed quietly as Mace strained through a set of dips, his arms trembling. You refuse to remain idle. I've got too much to fix and not enough time. The doctor nodded slowly, then turned and left. Mace resumed his dips, sweat running down his back, joints aching, breath short. Weakness, he thought, wasn't about strength or weapons or armor. It was about staying still while everything fell apart, and he wasn't built for that. By late afternoon, the compound's air had taken on a metallic tang, the kind that clung to your nostrils and made your teeth itch. Mace sat on the edge of a low bench in the facility's observation wing, rotating his right shoulder in slow, deliberate circles. It clicked softly every third pass. He winced but didn't stop. Lana stood several paces away, arms crossed, watching a monitor that displayed a looping feed of the orbital platform's docking corridor. I'm not saying you should relax, she said, But the longer you sit there working that shoulder, the more you look like someone trying to fake an injury on a workers' comp claim. It's frozen, Mace said through his teeth. Tried to lift a crate of coolant packs this morning and something shifted. I told you to let the mechanics handle those. They were using a crowbar on a pressurized chamber. Lana turned from the monitor. You don't work here, and technically you're still under observation. Maybe don't volunteer for heavy lifting. I wasn't volunteering. The thing was leaking. One wrong move and we'd be eating through tubes for the next 6 months. A low chime sounded beside them as the door slid open. A tall figure stepped through thin, elongated limbs, skin that shimmered like wet graphite. No visible eyes, but it moved with certainty. This one wasn't Dominion. It was from the archive, not part of any military hierarchy. The archive held records, studied anomalies, cataloged deviations. Mace had heard about them only in passing, mostly in stories that ended with someone being politely escorted into obscurity. It stopped 2 feet from Mace and inclined its upper segment the closest it came to a greeting. You are functional. Define functional, Mace said. I've got a shoulder that won't rotate past 90 degrees and knees that sound like bubble wrap. You remain ambulatory and coherent. That satisfies the criteria. Glad to hear I meet the bare minimum. The archive representative extended one limb, palm up, revealing a small metallic disc no wider than a coin. It hovered an inch above its hand. This contains a reconstruction of your neurological patterns during the Des Moines encounter. I didn't give anyone permission to scan my brain. You were unconscious for 17 minutes following extraction. Consent was assumed under emergency protocol. Lana stepped forward. You didn't mention you pulled a full neural image. We required an understanding of his decision cascade. The results were non-conforming. Mace took the disc reluctantly. It thrummed faintly, like a tuning fork still humming. So I'm an outlier. You are one of 6 individuals across 4 systems who have demonstrated what your species calls situational improvisation under compounded stress without prior training or augmentation. That's just called having a bad day and making it worse creatively. The archive figure paused. Your terminology is inefficient but not incorrect. Mace slid the disc into his back pocket. So what now? Another evaluation, some interstellar pop quiz to see if I can survive a room full of exploding toasters. No, we have concluded our observations. You are to be released from scrutiny. Lana raised an eyebrow. That's it. There is no further action required. The Dominion has been informed that their classification error has been documented. They have rescinded pursuit. Mace looked between them. You're saying it's over? Yes, he exhaled slowly. Good. Then I'm going to go home, take a bath, and sleep for 3 days. Your return journey has been arranged. A transport will depart in 74 minutes. The archive figure turned and left without any further explanation. The door sealed behind it with a soft hiss. Lana turned to Mace. 74 minutes. That's generous. I'll use 60 of them figuring out how to sit without aggravating my back. They walked together through the corridor toward the recovery wing where Mace's belongings had been stored in a sealed locker. Most of it was unremarkable: a jacket, some work boots, a half-eaten protein bar he hoped was still edible. But tucked beside it was the key Lana had given him days ago. He held it up. I won't need this anymore. Keep it, she said. You might. You said it was off-grid. It still is. But being off-grid doesn't mean it's useless. Just quiet. He pocketed the key. I don't like quiet much, I know. That's why it's a good backup. By the time they reached the launch terminal, the artificial daylight had dimmed to a soft amber. A boarding attendant gestured toward the transport bay, but Mace paused at the threshold. I'm not going to miss this place, he said. Lana didn't smile. You're not supposed to. He turned toward her. Thanks, by the way. You didn't have to stick around. You'd have died in a hallway if I hadn't. That would have made me look bad, still. She handed him a folded slip of paper. That's my backup line. Don't call it unless someone starts talking through your appliances. He nodded once, then stepped onto the ramp. The door closed behind him with a soft click. Inside, the transport wasn't much to look at: just rows of reclined seats, a faint citrus odor, and soft jazz playing quietly from unseen speakers. Mace settled in, wincing as he adjusted his shoulder. Across the aisle sat an insectoid creature with a translucent shell and 4 hands, each holding a different book. It didn't look up, but it clicked softly in rhythm with the music. Mace leaned back, eyes half closed. The ride to Earth lasted just under 5 hours. Long enough for his knee to stiffen, but not long enough for actual sleep. They landed on a rural pad outside Tucson just after local sunset. No welcoming committee, just a dusty road and a shuttle van with peeling paint. The driver didn't speak. Mace didn't ask questions. By the time he reached his apartment complex, the air was thick with warm desert wind. A neighbor's dog barked from behind a chain-link fence. Someone had left a grocery cart wedged against the stairs. He climbed to the 2nd floor, unlocked his door, and stepped inside. Nothing had changed. The same crooked picture frame, the same flickering kitchen light, the same smell of old carpet and detergent. He dropped his bag beside the couch, sat down slowly, and stared at the ceiling for a long time. Eventually, he got up, walked to the closet, and pulled out his toolbox. One of the faucets in Unit 16 had been dripping for weeks. The tenant had left a note under his door before everything went sideways. Mace opened the box, checked his tools, and grabbed a pair of pliers. Some things still needed fixing, and he was still the guy who did it.